Welcome into the studios for CEOs You Should Know, Joe Renwick. And today we get to call you BioJoe because apparently this is the moniker that you have created for yourself in what has become a seemingly impossible journey. And as I read your webpage, the About Us page,
right,
I found myself cheering for you as if I was watching a Joe Renwick movie. I mean, it's been amazing, your growth. First and foremost, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm just honored to be here as well. Thank you.
I want to start with the fact that you are from South Carolina. You're a Winsboro boy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a Saluda County boy, so not far away. You left Winsboro. Let's just start there. By the way, where did you go to school?
So I went to Richard Wynn, a little small school, private school in Winsboro, yeah.
I know exactly where it is. You had an opportunity to go on and play at the Citadel?
Right.
Good for you.
I was middle linebacker. I don't have a very illustrious football career, but I did make the opening tackle in the swamp playing Florida on the 16-yard line. It's the only story I have. And it's not even a good one. But, 16-yard line opening kickoff, that was pretty cool.
From Skeezer Richard Wynn Academy to that moment.
Yeah.
What a great story that is within itself. We'll get into a little bit of the Citadel because that plays into your business opportunity. Let's talk a little bit about the fact that you do come from a long list of entrepreneurs in Winsboro. Your grandfather, if I remember correctly, and your father owned businesses. Now, when you started your landscaping company, was that something you started as a teenager, or how did that come about?
It actually came about because I got shot by a friend. No kidding. My dad got a phone call that, Daddy, Joe's been shot. Come quick. We're at Palmer's house. And so my dad on two wheels screeching around the turn shows up. It was only a pellet gun. But my buddy had just gotten a 30-30 for Christmas a few days before. And so he said, well, if you have enough time to be playing around doing this, then you're going to go to work. So we started cutting grass for people in the church. Just my brother and I was 10. He was 12.
Right.
By the end of that summer, we had like 27 just homeowners, just old retired people from church to cut.
Sure.
Then by the end of the second year, I think we had like 70. And by the time I graduated high school, it was almost 200. And I had work crews. I would go pick up 4 guys in the morning before school, take them with trailer and everything, deliver them to a neighborhood, line them up to cut, and I'd leave at lunchtime from school, pick them up, move them to another neighborhood. I'd leave after school, pick them up, move them to another spot, and then I'd leave after football practice and pick them up, take them home. So I managed a business while I was in high school. It was the first company I sold was I was 18 years old. When I went to the
Academy, to the tackle you described, to being shot, to birthing a landscaping company. If you think this story is interesting so far, just wait. Let's fast forward. You're fresh out of the Citadel. Let's pick it up there.
Graduated the Citadel. Actually ended up graduating in 3.5 years with a major and a minor in business with the focus of management information systems.
Okay.
And what I learned was every semester you have a minimum of 12 hours you have to take, but you essentially, your parents get charged the same if you take 21 hours. You don't necessarily pay per credit hour. When you're at the Citadel, you're stuck. Your butt's on campus. It was like, well, if I'm going to be here, I'm going to get as much as I can out of it. And
Good for you.
I took 19 hours a semester every semester, and I took summer school, and I graduated a semester early, thinking I was going to be the rock star business graduate, that I was going to have opportunities that nobody else did because I graduated a semester ahead of them.
Sure.
Turned out none of it mattered. People hiring in a cycle, they hire in May. So that was mistake number one of my life. I should have enjoyed my last semester with my brethren at the Citadel as a senior. And so I left the Citadel, ended up getting a job in Florida, and then moved back to South Carolina and teaching SAT prep. Taught students how to take the SAT test.
Right.
And I would get hired to teach seminars at the schools to like 100 or 200 kids, one-day seminars, and then I started doing night classes. And then I wrote my own SAT prep course and started teaching more. But then I was bored in the summertime, and I ended up moving back home from Charlotte, and I lived in a few different states over the years. Moved back home, and people kept asking me, oh, you're back home. Will you start cutting my grass? And it's like, man, I went to the Citadel. I've graduated college. I'm not a grass cutter anymore.
Did you see my tackle?
But then it was just like, all right, if another person asked me, maybe I will just start a little side hustle. Within the first summer, I regained like 50 of my accounts. And then the next year, I got up to 100 and something accounts. And then I created different divisions to do irrigation system installations, full yard sod landscaping plan. I got certified as a master gardener from Clemson University. And I've always had a green thumb and loved the service side of things, that I love making people happy. It's like my love language is personal servitude. Ran both of those simultaneously because I'd cut grass during the summer and taught during the winter. But then I ended up selling that company, the landscaping company, again when I got married and moved to North Augusta with my wife, and then worked for Wachovia Bank. I got hired as an account executive and did mortgage, wholesale mortgage brokerage, which I didn't know anything about. I'd only signed one mortgage in my life for the little house that I built in 2002. I don't know if you heard about the mortgage industry collapsing somewhere around 2007,
I did read something
2008.
About that.
Something in the news. So when that occurred, I was unemployed, and I still had the diesel vehicle from when I sold my second landscaping company, but I didn't have the money to put fuel in the truck. And I met a guy that knew how to make biodiesel in his garage using cooking oil from a restaurant. And he was like, "Oh, you need to come to my house and learn how to make this stuff." His name was Matt Davis, who now is Dr. Davis, who was going through medical residency like my wife was at this time. He literally taught me how to make it. And I left his house and I immediately started buying pipes and fittings and everything. And because I didn't have any money, I went to a scrapyard. It was $5 to buy $100 in metal. So I left there with just a singular water heater. And on the way home, somebody was throwing away a push lawnmower and 2 bicycles.
Okay.
I loaded those up in my truck, went back to the scrapyard, and did a straight-up swap for a push lawnmower and 2 bicycles for the other water heater. And I used that to build a dual-reactor biodiesel processor in my garage.
Let me ask you a question. Because you mentioned your wife, and she, at this point, was still a medical student. Is she doing a residency?
She was in residency during this inception of BioJoe.
So her calendar was booked.
She called my dad and was just like, "I don't know what Joe's doing, but he's got a wire run from the dryer across through the foyer, out through into the garage, running water heaters. Is it safe what he's doing?"
Well, you got to have 220 to run it, sugar.
Exactly. I had to have 220, and that was...
So now you're making biodiesel fuel.
Yes.
So you'll have fuel to put in your truck.
Yes.
That's where we are at this point. Now pick it up again.
So I make the first batch, and with a hand shaking, I added it to my truck. And my good friend, big time Jonathan Myers, shows up to my house, and he's like, "Hey, tell me about this stuff." And I mean, he was just in town kind of thing. And I said, "Well, let's put some fuel in and let's ride to the grocery store so we can grab a beer." And we rode that first gallon of fuel in my truck, and it was so smooth and quiet. It was like, did I really just make fuel from cooking oil?
So you went from being nervous, your hands were shaking as you poured it in.
I just paid the truck off because I bought the truck out when I sold the business, so I was able to pay it off. So
the only real equity you have in your name is your truck.
Yes.
And you just poured this fuel that you produced into the tank.
And it ran better than it did on regular fuel.
That had to be the best ride of your life.
Man, it was cool. So I came home and put even more in, and we rode around some more in the neighborhood, and it was just like, man, this is crazy. But I didn't see it as a business at the time. I just saw the fact that I took cooking oil and made fuel. I wasn't thinking about a business at all. So my wife gets a job at Lexington Medical Center here in Columbia. We moved back into the house that I had built prior to all of this when I was doing the landscaping originally. Then we had some friends over for dinner that I played football with at the Citadel and knew his wife. And we went out to the garage, the guys to talk and the girls inside, and showed him the biodiesel processor that I made. And he was like, "Man, I work for the Department of Commerce. We need to start a business. I do small business management where I help businesses get started. I'm a small business ombudsman."
And this, by the way, goes back to the Citadel.
He was a defensive tackle when I was a linebacker. And so we started the thing together. He continued working at Department of Commerce and just would do night shift. He would come in at 6 o'clock. I would have worked all day by myself already.
Yes.
And then he would work from 6 to 10 or 11 sometimes, burning the late night oil. But it became like this fun thing that we had guys doing a milk run. I know the people can't see me. I'm doing air quotes with my fingers, doing a milk run. And they would go grab a beer at the gas station next to our biodiesel plant, and we'd have beers with people. It got to the point that there was like a case of beer needed for the people coming over after hours to help us build the plant. That was just friends and family of mine, that it was just a cool thing that everybody would come. And so we literally built the plant out of used parts and equipment that we were able to find government surplus from Savannah River site, the actual process equipment that we used to build the biofuel process. It just so organically started, and we didn't have anything. I didn't get a paycheck for the first 3 years. So I had to do side hustle work and continue doing irrigation stuff and landscaping here and there on the side in order to be able to fund doing this, because my wife and I mean, she just doesn't give me money. And
she was going to make you stand on your own 2 legs. I love the fact that she's going to make him stand on your own 2 feet and grow this business on your own, because there's another twist coming. Right. Pick it up right there and keep going.
We get the business started. Now we're talking 2008. is when we actually incorporated in November of 2008. We're all excited. There were 7 other biodiesel plants in operation in South Carolina when we started in 2008. We were the smallest one. We got started, there was $1 a gallon credit for every gallon you could make, and then the state sweetened the pot. For every gallon you'd make, you could get 25 cents a gallon for production credit for making a renewable fuel that could be sold within the state. South Carolina's on an island. We have no petroleum plants, so we don't produce gas or diesel in the state. Every fuel that this state runs on comes from somewhere else.
So the first subsidy dollar came from the Fed. That was $1 per gallon.
One full dollar, and then 25 cents was a kicker from South Carolina if you made the fuel within the state. Drive incentivize people to make fuel here instead of having to bring it from elsewhere.
Sure.
And so we get started with all that, and everything's great. All of our numbers look really good. And then in 2009, when we actually got certified to sell that first gallon in January of 2009, they cut the credits to zero for the whole entire industry. So there were 7 plants in operation, strong, making millions of gallons a month within the state. Everyone went bankrupt.
You're the sole survivor.
Yes. It happened 5 times to us that they brought it back and then they cut it to zero.
Your wife's already told you she's not going to finance you.
Right.
So you got to make money.
Right. In 2009, the subsidy cut. In 2010, they brought it back and they made it retroactive. So any company that was able to weather the storm, every gallon that you made during 2009, you could get money on that. I mean, it truly saved our company because we were running so thin at the time. So that money we were able to reinvest in the business. My second year in business, we got a contract with U.S. Food. In 3 months, I went from an empty building to a permitted operational biofuel feedstock processing plant that ran for 5 years, servicing U.S. Food in a direct contract.
That's a heck of a fleet.
They came and knocking on the door, hey, can you build us a plant? It's just like, I barely have this plant going, and look how small it is. We didn't put but $140,000 into the original, so we built a plant for them, and then we started seeing the bigger picture of maybe it isn't this small regional sell it to the guy on Main Street, Winsboro, where we were. Maybe it's a bigger picture thing to help more of a corporate level and the big guys. We ended up getting a contract with Tyson Foods here in Columbia. They had a cook plant that they made all the pizza toppings for Papa John's and Domino's, and you name the pizza company, big names. They made all the stuff right here in Columbia. So for 5 years, we serviced their account, and I'm talking like 3 tractor-trailer truckloads a day. Right down past the stadium. People don't even barely know that it's there. And I didn't either until I got the phone call of, hey, we've got waste. Can you help? So I designed and built a whole brand new plant down in Warrenville, South Carolina, outside of Aiken, just to maintain the volume and the service to that one huge account that we had landed. Then insert COVID, it shut down that plant. And so we completely lost that contract and all that volume overnight, and we had no idea that this was going to end, which was just like the subsidies being cut. So we just immediately pivoted and went another direction again.
Now, to be clear, this was the birth of your other company.
Yes. So we started with one plant in Winsboro. I was able to buy another company in Knoxville, Tennessee, just doing more cooking oil collections and whatnot. Sure. The third plant we call GEB3 is in Warrenville down in Aiken. To support that plant, we've moved on and purchased a composting company, Resoil Compost, which is in Elgin. That's our 4-location business that we run, 3 dedicated to biofuel and food waste recovery, and the other for managing the waste streams. And so our compost company, we only send food waste there.
That is Resoil, R-E-S-O-I-L.
Resoil Compost. And we've bought these huge pieces of equipment that allow you to take like a tractor-trailer truckload of food and put it through this machine, and it separates cardboard and plastic out of one side, and then all the food comes out the other. So if it's a solid food, it goes to Resoil Compost. Yeah. If it's a liquid food waste, that would be like a salad dressing or something that may have some oil in it. Turns out I own a biofuel refinery.
Oh, my.
Then we feed salad dressing. I mean, straight up, like we feed salad dressing through the plant, and it separates all the oil from the salad dressing. I mean, think about shaking up a bottle of Zesty Italian.
Sure.
Right? We have equipment that separates that emulsion that's created when you shake it all up and it gets mixed. We have equipment that can separate the solids and then the liquids. And so we recover oil from food waste, and now that's a whole other side of our business. We did 9.5 million pounds of food waste diversion in 2025 at Resoil Compost. Wow. And in 2024, to put it in perspective, we did just over 5 million.
Okay.
So we doubled our
doubled
ability to consume food waste.
And at the same
site.
time, maximize your availability of using that food waste. So
I mean, these are huge companies. Like if you think of every fast food company you can think of and name, we manage their waste. I can't name them because of NDAs.
Right.
But if you've ever seen a fast food place on the road, we manage their waste. They don't want to throw things in a landfill, and they don't want hamburger patties in boxes going to someone else's home to be cooked. So they bring it to us for certified destruction of their waste, and it goes to compost.
Amazing.
And so we're a food waste processor now. And oh, by the way, we still manage people's oil waste streams because all these companies have, I mean, the mayonnaise single-serving squeeze packets.
Yes.
We've got a machine that literally you can throw a whole tractor-trailer truckload of those, and it separates the package, and it's empty, as if you had squeezed it and rolled it by hand, I swear. Hundreds and thousands of these things run through this machine in a day, and then all the packaging, whatever was in the little squeeze packet, it comes out the other side. So if it's ketchup, there's no oil in that. That goes to resold compost. But if it's mayonnaise, there is some oil in that recipe.
Sure.
It goes through the biofuel process. And if you don't have the compost side, you can't have the biofuel because there's a lot of waste in this material that you can't just throw away a bunch of ketchup at a wastewater treatment plant. So if it's not liquid disposed of there, it has to be solidified and taken to a landfill. And solidification costs are bananas. And landfills are really expensive to use on the back end of the solidification costs. And so we've created this niche market that I had no idea was even there, but we really have kind of honed our skill to always be able to pivot.
Now, I want to go back to your marriage at this point, because at some point you would actually pull yourself up from your bootstraps.
Yes.
Now, did you encourage your wife? Did you entice your wife? Did she see? She said, "Wait, you need some help." How did this come about?
So on every loan that we were able to get for our business, it required someone to back the loan because honestly, biofuel is risky. And who in the world knows anything about collecting cooking oil? And every bank you go to, they're just like, "I'm sorry, you want to do what with what?" It's like, "Yeah, I want to collect cooking oil and make biofuel." They're like, "But if you throw a doctor's name on this credit line, then they'll tend to give you the money." And so my wife's name was used even before she was a partner in order to help us get some financing early on. And she became my business partner. And man, we hit the ground running. I mean, she's an ER physician, so you got to consider all day long, everybody comes in the door and they say, "My arm hurts when I do this and my knee hurts when I do that." And she's like, "All right, here's 3 questions. Is it this? Is it that? Is it that?" Boom, solution, next patient. So her mindset of show me the problems, I'm coming up with ABC solutions, and we're going to pick one and we're going to go. Man, we blew it up after we lost Tyson Foods. It almost didn't even matter. She's been a very active role with us. In 2026, she's taken a step back. And she's launching her own consulting company, Live Well Longevity. She's focusing on people's long-term health, deal with people that actually care about their health and well-being and their diet and their exercise and the mental health and physical. And so Beth is stepping back from Green Energy, but she left us in a really good place. She's been very much a part of the strategy and the growth. You know, I'm the visionary and I've got all these ideas and it's all day long ideas. And at some point you got to have somebody saying, "No, we're going to do this and we're going to do that.
We got to focus.
Thanks for the other ideas." And so she's always been a good sounding board for that.
So at some point, I will be interviewing her, hopefully.
She's
So tell her when you see her tonight.
Yeah, I will.
Jonathan already wants to put you on the schedule. But let's talk about the Department of Commerce and other state agencies.
From day one, really, we've gotten support from so many different state agencies. Nikki Haley presented me an award for Ambassador of Economic Development. You know, we've had so many different people come tour our plant and support us. Mark Sanford came to the plant as one of the first governors that came to our plant. And so we got help in a lot of different ways. You know, Department of Commerce has been a huge supporter of ours for years. We've been able to get grants and assistance from them with different plants that we've built. To like, hey, we're building a new plant, the big plant that we did in Warrenville, and we were able to qualify for a job creation grant because of the investment that we were doing in the facility and the jobs we created. And Department of Energy, we've gotten grants from them and assistance from them. And a lot of people feel like, "Oh, you're a biofuel company, you've been given all this money and it's easy." Dude, it ain't easy and it's real hard to get the money. But there has been opportunities for us to get money at different times using different grant programs and assistance programs that either the state has or the federal government has. There's been another group called the SCMEP, the South Carolina Manufacturing Extension Partnership. They've been so instrumental in our success because they help identify a need for change where if we could help these guys with marketing, they could grow like crazy. Or if we could help these guys with management of their process, they'd be so much better. And we got a grant from NASA, and I worked with a NASA engineer to design the reactor heating processing system that was in the original biodiesel plant that we built. We got grants from the South Carolina Renewable Energy Laboratory and Rail. I mean, it's so hard to name all the different groups that we've got. SC Launch, we got a grant from them that helped us buy our first little collection truck. I mean, it was like $7,000, but I'm a resourceful fella and I can make $7 go a long way. We've always been good stewards of money in that regard, but I was able to buy a little vacuum truck. That was a 450-gallon Porta-John truck. Like you put the plastic Porta-Johns on the back and haul them,
Yes.
and then you put them on the ground and put water in them. And
Yeah.
I mean, I bought a Porta-John truck, but that's how we got our first truck, was through a grant. We honestly still have that little yellow vacuum tank that came off of the truck that we still use today in our business operations to collect material.
Now, that collection would be a restaurant?
Yes.
It could
So
be-
we've got thousands of restaurants that
Sure.
we service that, they cook, with oil, and then we provide them a container that goes inside the restaurant or behind the restaurant that they're able to dump their cooking oil into it. Then we come around as needed and we vacuum the oil out of their container, bring it back to our plant to refine, to then be able to be sold into the renewable diesel market.
Yes.
We don't make the biodiesel that can go right in a fuel tank anymore. We just refine the fats and oils needed to make fuel, and we sell to Chevron and Marathon and BP. Like, we sell to the biggest petroleum companies in the world. Most of the material that we bring in South Carolina, it actually goes to like Texas, to biofuel refineries, and that run close to 800,000 gallons a day. We're the biggest, and I wasn't aware of this until a year or so ago. We got told by a company that we work with, Green Energy Biofuel is the biggest biofuel feedstock provider on the East Coast. We do 500,000 gallons of finished product oil in rail cars only that gets sold because we're so big we can't afford to put it in a 6,000 gallon tanker. We've got to put it in a 25,000 to 30,000 gallon rail car to ship it. The big plant that we built down in Warrenville, we have our own private rail spur, that we have private rail cars that come onto our spur, overhead 5-car loading system. We do rail car cleaning for other companies now. We work with one company to transload their fat into a rail car, and it gets shipped to California for use in making pet food. I mean, we just put in a dedicated transloading spot on our rail spur just to allow tankers to come in to put material directly on the rail car so it can leave in a faster manner than we currently do. We get waste from Kansas. We bring waste from Florida. We bring waste from Kentucky. We're on a rail. So I can bring waste in literally from California. We've done the math. The disposal rates are so high for food waste disposal in California that we could afford to put it in a rail car and ship the waste from there to South Carolina, process it, and then ship it back to Texas and still make $1. There's just this industry that nobody knows is out here.
Waste.
Yes.
And you're extracting the valuable out of it.
Yes.
You're composting what you can, but then you're shipping it to Texas to some of the world's largest fuel producers.
Yes, for renewable diesel. Yes.
Amazing.
And renewable diesel just got started. Until 5 years ago, no big petroleum company had invested a penny in any single small biofuel refinery because the technology was not good. When we used to make the fuel ourselves, it was like $1.40 cost per gallon to make it. And then you're selling something that goes for $3 a gallon at the pump.
Yeah.
It's pretty tight. They have learned a way to modify the petroleum process that's already in place for hydro-treating, hydro-cracking petroleum fuel in order to make diesel fuel. They found a way to, in a sense, flip a switch, change a little thing here and there, turn the switch back on, and now they can take fats, oils, and grease, run it through the same process, and make fuel without waste on the other end. That's better than the biodiesel that we used to make, like 13 cents a gallon, and we were at $1.40. Now, every big petroleum company in the world has now invested in either A, new plant construction, or B, modification to existing facility in order to build plants that can consume the feedstock or the oil that we refine on this crazy level. I mean, one rail car, it's 25,000 gallons. If a plant can do 800,000 gallons in a single day, imagine how many rail cars have to be in a line. And that's just day one, because the next day they're doing the same thing. It's a bottomless pit. Like, we already do 500,000 gallons a month sold. There's no end in sight. I truly can sell everything that I can make. I just can't find enough places to get more.
Typically, these interviews run about 12 to 15 minutes. And
Yeah, we're a little over that.
I can tell you right now, if you listen to this entire podcast, if you go to the web
GEBiofuel.com.
GEBiofuel.com, and click on the About Us page, you will read things in there that we didn't even touch on that are truly fascinating with your climb from the humble beginnings in Winsboro, South Carolina. Do you think back on that very first gallon that you poured into your truck with your friend?
Sometimes I think I have been able to have a really interesting lifestyle doing something that nobody's ever done before in a industry that people don't even know is out there. We're just trying to continue to grow. And so we're to the point now that we need to hire managers for our managers. Like I need a COO, a chief operating officer, to help manage our branch managers, to help manage our sales managers.
Here's another perfect opportunity.
Crazy.
If you're currently looking for a challenge with a company that apparently you have no ceiling. You have no ceiling, brother. Go from here to the moon.
You asked about what we're doing in 2026. So we do have plans for opening some additional locations. We're planning on opening one in North Carolina. It's going to be above Charlotte, below Winston-Salem. We've got a location picked out, but I can't say it. And then we're going to be opening up, likely very soon, another very large compost facility.
And you currently have a facility in Knoxville?
We have another location in Knoxville, which we're so close to busting at the seams that we're going to have to find another place to operate out of Knoxville. We're currently on campus, University of Tennessee's campus.
That's a beautiful campus, too.
Oh, man,
What
it's
a
so
great
neat.
place to
It's so
work.
cool. But, I mean, we've been blessed.
You mentioned Launch the Legacy from the South Carolina Department of Commerce. You are, I think, the epitome of a Launch the Legacy story. Joe Renwick, Green Energy Biofuel, and your associated company, Resoil. Thank you so much for all of your time. I have imposed on you, and I really apologize.
I thoroughly enjoy talking to you. I can do this all day.
This is great. I cannot wait to hear what you're going to do next.
I'm excited to make some announcements soon. We have some plans with the Department of Commerce to make some big announcements about 2026.
Green Energy Biofuel and Resoil. And I hope to speak with you again soon. And be sure and tell your wife. I want to interview her soon about her business.
I'll be talking with her in a minute, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.